In this video, I'm going to be giving you a full A to Z presentation on SEO fundamentals. If you are completely new to SEO, this is SEO for dummies. SEO is for people who haven't done SEO before. I'm doing this video because one of my students who needs help with his job and is just starting out and was thrust into a job where he had to do SEO, pay-per-click advertising, and all this other stuff, email marketing, without anyone at his company who can train him. And so he has to learn all this stuff without anyone there with experience with it, and he doesn't want to lose his job and he wants to succeed. So I did this presentation for him, and now I'm refilming it to help out the masses. So without further ado, I created a nice, fun slide deck that you can follow along with. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share. All right, so you should be able to see my screen. And without further ado, let us begin. So first and foremost, what is SEO? It stands for search engine optimization. And when I was starting out, I also was not fully familiar with what it is, what it does. And so if you are, some of this may be familiar to you, but for someone who's brand new, I think this is really useful because there's so many people out there. There's a lot of videos on SEO already, but why did that student of mine come to me? Because although there's so much information online, it wasn't said in a plain English way. There's so much theory and advanced tactics, and he just wanted to know in plain English from someone who's actually working in agency life what actually matters and what doesn't. So let's move on to the next slide here. It's for improving web visibility on search engines. So Google is the big one. Bing is in far second place, but you probably use a search engine. Here's a graphic below. There's the paid Google ad at the top in green, and then everything below it is organic or free traffic in a way, if you can rank high on there. So it's really about optimizing your page and enhancing your content and doing all these tactics to show up higher in those free rankings. Higher rankings means more traffic, and then in theory, more business and money for a business. It's not always this way, but we're not going to get into that now. Sometimes you can rank really high for something and you get traffic, but no one's in a buying mood because of what they're searching. So that's neither here nor there. For now, you just need to know, for the most part, higher traffic means more dollars. Okay, so moving on to the next bit here, types of SEO. So there is on-page SEO, which is a big bucket or category, and that's when you optimize the existing page. So that's when you sprinkle keywords onto a blog article, you add multimedia like videos and images, you update the title so it's keyword friendly. You add more content to your blog article so it is a much more enjoyable and valuable read with a lot more information. These are all things you do on the page itself. And it's probably the first place most agencies start when it comes to helping with your SEO. After that, there is what's called off-page SEO, which is when you go to another site that's not your own and you try and convince them to link to you, or you go on to social media and you promote your blog post. That's not really SEO. It's tangential because anyone can create their own YouTube channel or Twitter account and then link to their blog. So that's a very low level. I'm talking more about you go to some established social media influencer and have them link to your stuff. Even then, it's tangential to SEO because Google will see that signal of traffic flowing in, but and so you might get a slight boost to that page, but how much? It's hard to say. They will weigh that less than if you get a link from another blog or website, especially a recognized website. And then there's technical SEO, which is all the technical web development type of stuff. So if your site speed sucks, improve it because Google is probably dinging you for a low site speed. Same thing if it's not mobile friendly or if it doesn't follow the core web vitals user experience scores and you don't score well for those. The list goes on. Broken links, broken robots.txt file, a broken sitemap. These are all technical things that some of which you can do even if you're not a developer and fix, like a broken page. Those will get you dinged, and thus, if you fix them, you go higher in the search results. Lastly, there's local SEO. So this is for local businesses who want to show up more locally on Google Maps and Google search results. This is about optimizing your Google business profile and local listings. We'll get into how later on. So on-page keyword SEO. First off, what are keywords? Sounds simple enough, but for some newbies, you may not know what they are. They're the phrases that are most commonly searched in search engines. These are the types of things that you want to consider adding and sprinkling to your text. Without keywords, Google has no idea what the topic of your page is. They're the backbone of SEO. That's how they identify and associate your page with the topic. Now, some of these keywords naturally come up when you're writing an article. However, some of these don't. And that's why people do keyword research with the keyword research tool to figure out what actually gets searched the most, and you get a monthly search volume for it. You'll be surprised. Most people assume, oh, I know what's being searched. And then they check the data, and turns out there's all these other variations of keywords for your topic that you weren't even considering that get searched more. And that is how you start to rank for these keywords. People thoughtfully identify the keywords and then sprinkle them through the text to associate them with certain keyword topics. So there's two metrics in the keyword research tool that you typically want to look for. These columns are really important. One is, as mentioned, the search volume per month. Another one is called difficulty or competition. It depends on the tool. I like SEMrush or Moz Pro. Those are my choices. They're paid tools, but those are the ones that I think are great for telling you what's good and what's not. Because you can find a really juicy high search volume keyword, but if there's a lot of competition for it, chances you'll rank are low, very low. So once again, these are some of the tools you can use. And now we're on to how you can actually do well in such a competitive market. SEO is not new. It's been around for over 10 years, probably like 15 to 20 now, which means what? It means it's often a saturated market. If you're trying to compete for a term like Abraham Lincoln, good luck, because you're not going to do well. Or let's give you another example, mesothelioma or SEO. These terms, obviously, people have done their research and they've optimized their content to compete. So the competition is very high. And that's why if you're starting out, if you're a local business, small business, one person shop, small influencer, you want to look for the longer tail keywords. Yes, as you can see by this graph, they're going to have lower search volume, but there's going to be less competition. Would you rather get 100 searches a month from a low competition keyword, or nothing from a high competition keyword because it's so competitive you can't even rank for it? These longer tail keywords are sometimes things that get missed by the competition because they're so in the weeds and it's such a long variation of a keyword. So try it out. Moving on, here's some more fundamentals to on-page SEO. So obviously, if you want to get more advanced, there's other articles and blogs, but just starting out, titles and meta descriptions are very important. Like I said, you have to optimize them so that they have the right keywords in them, but also you want to make sure that they are not too long or too short. They all have ideal word count ranges. You want to stick within the 150 and 160 range for the page title. And then you want to stick within the, you want to stick within the 150 to 160 word count range for the meta description. And then for the page title, you typically want to stay within I believe it's like 90 word count range for the title tag. The point is, if it's too short, you're wasting real estate, because these are these areas that you would want to fill out, because that's what gets pulled as the title and description, often in search results. And if you use a content management system like WordPress, there's usually a plugin that like Yoast SEO that you can install where it'll let you edit the title tag and meta description before you publish an article or a page. So it's pretty easy once you understand how to do it. Most people aren't aware, so they don't have the right titles. Header tags are key places to insert keywords. Make sure you insert these keywords in natural ways. If it looks like you keyword stuff and it's very difficult or even slightly difficult for a human to read this and it doesn't look natural, you can be dinged by search engines. Internal linking and URL structure. Make sure the URL makes a lot of sense. It's naturally read. Internal linking means, link to related articles in your website. You're passing a little bit of link value when you do this. And if you want to get more advanced, check out this backlinko article. Technical SEO essentials, site speed and core web vitals. So your job usually as an SEO specialist is to do as much as you can yourself. And then when all else fails, partner with a developer or someone to help with you. So for me, there's a lot you can do before you pass it to a developer. You can run a website through a free site speed tool. There's some great ones like gtmetrics.com or a core web vitals tool, and it will give you a detailed report on what exactly a developer can fix to improve these scores. Then you can break out that report, which is already often prioritized by high priority to low priority, and pull out the high priority things first, and then pass those to a developer to knock out first, making it very easy for them to do the work because you've already done the research. Mobile-friendly tools exist as well. Google has one. XML sitemaps and robots.txt. You can do the work of identifying that they are broken and then pass these and raise the flag to a developer to fix, or even fix them yourself if you have a little bit of technical skill. In terms of just general content optimization when it comes to on-page or the website, so somewhat technical, somewhat on-page, one of the big major algorithm updates is called EEAT, which stands for Experience, Expertise, Authority, and Trust. So really, if you can do certain things to establish to your audience that, hey, we are a very credible resource, then you will get a bump in search results. So check out an entire article on EEAT to go into the advanced details, but it can be simple things such as updating your author bio to show that credibility. WordPress, when you publish an article, you get a little author bio at the bottom. And most site admins keep it blank because out of negligence. But let's say, especially if you have some real credentials, like let's say you are a established, or you're maybe someone on your team wrote an article and they are an established scientist with a PhD, a Nobel laureate prize, and so forth. I know that's a bit of an extreme example. You don't have to have that many credentials, but to bring the point home, let's say you did, then make sure that's clearly included in the author bio so that Google connects the dots and gives and recognizes that extra authority. So just try it out. Write SEO-friendly blogs, but also make them natural and readable for a human, and keep the content fresh. New content is always welcome. Here's a graphic, once again, explaining EEAT. There's experience, so practical knowledge in the field, expertise, specialized knowledge or skills in the topic, authority, recognition as a reliable resource through reputable endorsements, and then T, trustworthiness, accuracy and honesty in content creation. I know you might start to get into, okay, what about if you're in like the dating field? There's no like PhD for dating. How exactly do you establish credibility? That's something for another topic, once again, check out those in detail articles by Backlinko and others for more details. But even in the dating field, you can establish credibility in various ways. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Link building for SEO. So what is link building? Well, link building is probably one of the most crucial parts of SEO. You probably want to focus more on quality than quantity of links. And there's various tactics that people have come up with in the last 20 years to get more links. But why do links matter so much? Well, it's really what helped Google differentiate from all these competitors when it was first starting out. When Google was first starting out in like 20 years ago, it wasn't the top dog. It was competing against all these other search engines. I can't remember their names, but I think there was like Ask Jeeves, Alta Vista, Yahoo Search, and Google was definitely not the top dog. And what really propelled it to the top at the time was its ingenious idea to rank pages higher based on the quality and quantity, mostly quantity back then, but the links that were sent to that domain or that web page. Why this was so revolutionary was because it completely enhanced the quality and accuracy of search results. Users were getting much better search results when they search for something. And the reason is because a link is a very tough to fake indicator of the quality of the content. If other domains, other strangers are linking to your web page, that means it's a high endorsement about the quality and relevancy of your page. So put another way, links still to this day are really hard to fake and therefore kind of difficult to come by. And you see in this graphic, there's a lot of tactics like a guest post, infographics, creating link bait worthy quality content, sponsorships. But at the end of the day, to this day, it still comes down to having really good content that people want to link to. That's really what's going to give you the highest yield over your time. And it's just hard to fake, which is why it's still such an important factor. Lastly, let's get into local SEO, the last bucket here. Obviously, this only applies for if you are a brick and mortar or some place where you want to just show up more locally, a law firm, a car wash, still very important. Now I've done a lot of local SEO as well as all the other forms. For local SEO, it's actually kind of simple, but not easy. It comes down to getting a ton of, so this is like quality and quantity, a ton of 5-star ratings for your Google My Business profile, and then making sure your name, address, and phone number, NAP for short, is consistent across all the directories on the web, from Yelp to Google My Business and so forth. And then lastly, making sure your Google My Business profile is optimized. Make sure you have some incredible photos of your location, your descriptions filled out, all the Q&A questions are answered, those type of things. And I know it's difficult to get ratings, especially for certain businesses that don't get a lot of customers coming through, but always be actively asking. I've interacted with some of these clients and I'm like, how often do you ask for a review after a customer's had a great experience? And usually they're like, oh, we never asked. Well, there you go. There's your problem. I would say the one business I found that does this well are escape rooms. After every escape room, when the team comes out and they're very, very happy and excited, that's when you catch them and you say, hey, it'd be great if you could leave a Google review. And most escape rooms, they do that very well. Okay, what else? Tools and tactics. I would say there are 3 tools in your tool belt that I would always recommend. 2 are free, 1 is paid. Google Analytics 4. Install this because you just get so much robust website analytics. Google Search Console, this is free as well. It gives you so much keyword data on what you rank for, what pages you rank for, how many clicks you got. Very useful. And then, of course, one paid tool, SEMrush is great, but there's a variety of others. You just need a tool that usually you have to pay for it, but a tool that will tell you search volume and help you do keyword research and track certain keywords and your rankings over time with it. And um, something like a Moz or SEMrush is great. Okay, so wrapping this up, how easy or difficult is SEO? You're probably wondering that. Well, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's not as quick a feedback loop as PPC. So with pay-per-click, you pay immediately and then boom, you can get to the top of search results if you're willing to pay enough. But for SEO, it can take weeks or sometimes months to see a return because you're spending so much time optimizing that content, and then it takes time for you to publish it and prepare it, and then at least like a week or two for Google to adjust your ranking sometimes. Sometimes it's instant, but sometimes it can take a bit. And so, unfortunately, that's why certain SEO agencies have been able to hide in the shadows for a while because if they suck at SEO, it may take a few months for the client to figure that out. But I will say nowadays things are a bit faster of a turnaround. Google's faster in seeing the results. So there's that. So some tactics are straightforward and less time consuming than others. Link building, as I said, it's not easy. Um, I've I've done various link building, and sometimes you create an epic piece of content, and one tactic is kind of shopping it around. So I've cold emailed out of 100 people, maybe you'd be lucky for if 5 of them were to respond, and then maybe 2 might link to you. And that's if you have a really solid piece of content. So it's a lot of work. So I wouldn't recommend starting there. In fact, my last agency, they made a lot of money through SEO as one of their main service lines, and they just stayed away completely from offsite SEO because they knew how difficult it is. They just kept to the simple stuff, sprinkling keywords on the page and on-page stuff. So start with like basic, simple stuff like fixing broken links. All right, so common mistakes. Avoid keyword stuffing. As I mentioned, you need it to read like a normal human would read it. If a human is reading this article and they're like, I can't even read this, or hey, that's kind of weird a little bit because there's like random keywords stuffed into it and it doesn't read naturally, you're not doing it right. Google is now looking for signs that this is naturally readable. Avoid shady black hat practices. Those typically will very temporarily boost your rankings, but then if you get dinged, if you get penalized by Google, then you're done, you're toast. You are blacklisted. So an example of a black hat strategy would be like, and I've always avoided this, but to define it for you, it'd be something like sometimes they'll run like a program to send you a bunch of fake bot traffic to your YouTube video. So now it has 1 million views, but it's fake views. And then now you have that credibility, and then maybe you link to your site from your YouTube video or something like that, or you use some trick of some sort to trick Google against its terms of services to rank you higher. But once you get caught, then like your account can be banned, or even regular visitors might be find something fishy about your strategies. They may call out, why do you have like 10 comments and 1 million videos on 1 million views? So that's black hat. Don't focus on rankings over user experience and content. What I mean by that is people are so focused on the tactics that they forget the main principles of, I guess, white hat SEO or just SEO in general, which is it's better to just be someone who's great at creating epic content than trying to game the system. I mean, if you look at the top YouTubers, the top blogs, the top websites, they're not great because they tricked the system. It's because they actually created some epic content that deserves to rank well. And then focus too much and time and resources on low impact, low probability success strategies. So there's so many SEO tactics out there. I'm going to show you some of the lowest hanging fruit that have highest impact in the future slides, so you don't waste your time on high time intensive tactics. And then not measuring your results before and after. Your client's counting on you. So you need to measure your results and take ownership and proactively record all the metrics that you are accountable for before you do SEO and then after. And that way, if you knock it out of the park and succeed, you can also report to them and say, hey, before I started, this was your traffic, these were your rankings, and now look at us now. Unfortunately, what I've seen is a lot of people forget to do the before and then they're at the after, and then they look back and they're like, oh shoot, I forgot to record that. How were we doing back then before we started doing SEO? I don't know. Some of these tools, like Search Console, may go back historically to an extent and save your butt, but you can't rely on that retroactively because even Search Console, I think it has like a 12-month window. So if it's beyond that 12 months, then and you forgot, then same thing with that. And then paid tools like SEMrush, they only start tracking keywords from when you add them to the system. So what about the future of SEO? You're probably wondering about AI and how that's affected things. As of so far, I've done some research on AI and generative overviews, how it's AI's auto creating a result at the top of search results now. Based on my research and various experts like Neil Patel weighing in, AI has so far and probably only done good for SEO. Ever since it's rolled out, according to Neil Patel's study on 30,000 websites he sampled, the amount of traffic and search traffic going to those sites has increased, not decreased, since AI overviews came out. And he's arguing that it's just incentivize and encourage people to do more searches and be more active with search engines and bring more people to search engines because of this feature. So in terms of how you would optimize your web pages differently, it's the same stuff. Quality content, keywords, all those things still apply but just, for AI now. Okay, so I promised I would mention to you what are some of the big checklist items you start with when you draw a blank and you want to focus your resources effectively for a high return. So you want to start with high impact, low effort activities. Link building and offsite SEO are not part of that. Those are something you would reserve for later. You want to start with an SEO audit. That's a very high impact thing. You can run it through one of these tools like SEMrush at least once every half year, I would say, because new errors always come up. And you want to start knocking them out. These tools will prioritize them for you into high impact, medium, and low activities once the audit's complete. And you run it through these audit tools. It probably only takes you several hours for the audit to complete. And then once you finish all the audit items, then proceed to recurring activities like keyword research, content calendars to create new content. And then if you have time left over, optimize existing content. I recommend always adding content rather than deleting or replacing your existing content. So let's say you had a blog post that's ranking fairly well, but you want to rank it better. I wouldn't delete the 500 words that's already in the blog post. I would just add 500 more words to that blog post. That way you aren't risking losing rankings on keywords you already ranked for by deleting content. Okay, so in checklist format, SEO audit, that audit will tell you some of the big things. I usually like to start with the broken pages, the 400 and 500 errors. Those are usually flagged high in an SEO audit. Then you can branch out to build a keyword universe in a spreadsheet. And a keyword universe is essentially a list of keywords and their search volume and competition of potential ideas of keywords you can target. That way, you know the whole universe or marketplace. And then build a content calendar to create new content targeting these keywords on a recurring basis. You typically want to have one primary keyword. This is like the main thing you're targeting. And then like 3 to 5 secondary keywords you sprinkle throughout the post that are related to the primary. Um, And then you put the primary usually in the title and the first 100 words at least. Uh, and then I don't want like the keywords over stuff. So no more than like mentioning it 2 or 3 times throughout the post. Um, have someone write this content, keyword optimize, and publish the content. Ideally, a subject matter expert on your business. But sometimes they're busy, so then you might have to write it yourself or find a freelancer. Optimize existing content with SEO best practices. And as I mentioned, set expectations with the client. So this last one is a big one because if a client is new to SEO, they have no idea about some of these things. So if their expectations aren't aligned, even if you knock it out of the park, they may still be upset because they had unrealistic expectations. So this is when you tell them some of the stuff I said. This is a long-term play. It can take sometimes 2 months for you to see the yield of the SEO results after you've published your changes. Sometimes it could take like 2 weeks, but it's just not as instant as pay-per-click. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found value in this presentation, and like and subscribe. Join my free email newsletter down below. That's where I give exclusive tips and offer recurring free coaching sessions to all my email subscribers. So if you want one of those sessions, if you want to get more exclusive tips I share nowhere else, join my email newsletter. Link is down below. Otherwise, free content on my YouTube channel. Just subscribe. See you later.